this movie as well, expecting a fun time. Similarly to the games, I just wanted to enjoy my evening at the theater with some set pieces, action, and just a fun time. I honestly don't think there is a better game that is suited for adapting to a film than there is with the Uncharted franchise. So with that in mind, what did I think? Well, the film is certainly not nearly as bad as people have been saying it is. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and from what I've heard with a lot of die-hard fans, it's not really resonating with them as much as it did for me. I'll be honest though, when I saw the casting of Tom Holland as Nathan Drake and Mark Wahlberg as Sully, I was skeptical because Nathan Drake is a very charismatic individual, but one who's been in the hustling game for years, and Tom Holland just has that boyish figure to himself that just really emulates youth and charisma. So I was nervous, but I wanted to see what both actors could bring to the table. And while I do think there is a lot of greatness, there is some meh moments. Getting the great out of the way, let's talk about those characters real quick. Tom Holland, over the past year, has really transformed himself as not only an actor that can lead in his films, but one who can stand alone on his own. With Spider-Man, he's really created a persona around himself, and before No Way Home, he was one of a younger individual that is following those around him, and he looks up to people like Tony Stark. And it wasn't until 2021 and this year where you really get to see him take over, take the reins, and find himself in maturity. With Nathan Drake, it's not necessarily a new step up from that, but it really goes to show that he can be a leading man in his films, and he's really good at this. I mean, he does his own stunts, and there is a lot to enjoy, but he also gives really charismatic line delivery that makes you chuckle. That with Mark Wahlberg, who perhaps could have been casted a bit better, is still good. And although I have issues with the way that the script treats Sully as a character, I think what works best and what needed to work best was the back and forth banter between Sully and Nathan Drake, and they work off each other so well. What I also think is perhaps an issue in the marketing department is this movie is not following within the same footsteps as the video games. In fact, this kind of feels like the appetizer before the main course of what the franchise is about, where this is more like Nathan Drake coming into his own as this thief, this hustling job where you gotta go into the crime syndicate, and it's really good in that regard. I find it to be a great segue into what could be a really nice franchise, and honestly, I'm there for it. This movie does set up potential sequels, and I would be there, man, because I had a really good time. Not all of it is perfect, you know. You go into a movie like Uncharted, and maybe the third and the fourth game, which I have not played, gives really big character moments, but I've always found it to be about the action and the story rather than the characters, which are fun. I love Nathan Drake, I loved Sully from what I played, and they really do have moments that you're like, dang, this is awesome, but it comes down to the set pieces and the action that just takes over. You're not gonna find some incredible villain with a very layered backstory. I mean, it's Antonio Banderas. That man is just reveling in every scene he's in, twirling his figurative mustache, and he's just having a splendid time, as is everyone else. And like I said, the movie isn't amazing. There is some shortcomings. The writing isn't always the best, and it did kind of make me a little sad because I was watching this movie and I got the action, but the set pieces minus the third final act of the film, which was awesome, I was looking for a bit more. Most of it is just murky sewers and trenches and catacombs, but then you have to think about movies like Pirates of the Caribbean, where the set designers were really able to flex their muscles and put a lot on display. And when a movie with this much budget, it can often sometimes feel a bit more studio and artificial than authentic, and that does happen sometimes, but there's still a lot to love. Mind you, going into this, I was fully well aware that Ruben Fleischer was, I believe, the third or fourth director in line to make this movie. You had plenty of filmmakers before him that were penned to make this movie, and they dropped out because of creative differences challenges or scheduling conflicts, but he does a good job, and I had a lot of fun with this movie overall. I honestly would just say go in having a great time, expecting fun action set pieces, and you will be rewarded eloquently. With that being said, Tom Holland coming into his own, and I hope to see more of it. Him and Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake and Sully working really well together. Action and set pieces that really kind of leave you a bit white-knuckled, although a bit predictable. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. The journey is sometimes the best part, not the destination, even though it is predictable. And I had a blast. With all that being said, I'm gonna give 2022's Uncharted a B. As always, let me know what you thought down below. Did you like Uncharted? Are you a fan of the Uncharted games? Please, I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you very much for the support. Please leave a like, comment, even hit the subscribe and the notification bell. It does wonders for me. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to take life one frame